Good morning, boys and girls. Today in math, we are going to be focusing on change number stories using that change diagram that we've gone over before. But today we are going to be using what we call a thermometer. And a thermometer is a tool that we use for measuring hot or cold. So we use a thermometer to measure how hot or cold maybe a liquid is. We measure using a thermometer to tell how hot or cold the air is, either outside or inside a building. You even have a thermometer in your classroom, and it doesn't look like the thermometer that we're going to be looking at on a poster or in our books in just a little bit, but it's actually something on the wall in your classroom. It's called a thermostat, and you may have seen it. It tells how hot or cold the classroom is. So we are going to be looking at the thermometer to help us with change stories today. So let's go ahead and get started. In your classroom, your teacher may have a thermometer poster in the room. I want you to go ahead and take some time to either look at that thermometer poster in your room, or you can just look at the one that I'm showing you in the video. I want you to take some time and look at it carefully. What are some of the things that you notice about the poster? What are some things that the poster has on it? Go ahead and take some time to look at that. You may pause the video if you want. Go ahead and have a discussion with your teacher about what you see on the thermometer poster. Hopefully you've had some time to take a look at this thermometer poster with a very large thermometer on it. If we cut this poster in half and put it together, it would all be one thermometer. So like I said earlier, a thermometer is a tool that we use to measure the temperature, how hot or cold something is. So also a couple of things that I want you to know about. Usually when we look at a thermometer, it is a glass tube. So that's what this part is. It is a glass tube, and here's the bottom of the thermometer. Here's the top of the thermometer. It contains usually a liquid in it, usually red, and that liquid, it expands or gets bigger as the weather gets warmer or the room gets warmer that you're in. And when that liquid expands, it causes the liquid to rise and go up in the tube. And that's the warmer temperature. It is the higher the liquid rises. So it starts, the red liquid starts down here in the bottom of the tube. And then as it gets warmer, the red liquid goes up, 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 up. In the United States, where we live, that's our country, everyday temperatures like the ones that you hear about in weather reports and maybe the temperature that you're supposed to use on your oven to cook things, those are all usually given in what we call degrees Fahrenheit. So this little tiny circle here means degrees, and this capital F means Fahrenheit. So this is the measurement that we use in the United States. In other countries, in science, we don't usually use degrees Fahrenheit. We use something called degrees Celsius. So you'll learn about that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different zones on the thermometer that might correspond to hot, cold, warm, and cool temperatures. So go ahead and take a look at that, and you may pause the video if you need to. What I like about this thermometer in particular is that it's got some key information on here, And it's also got some colors. So usually, when I think about art, I think about hot and cool colors or warm and cool colors. The warm colors tend to be your reds, like your red and orange, yellow. Those tend to be your warm colors. And your cool colors in art usually tend to be on the blue side of things. So like blue, green, purple, those are going to be your cool colors. So those art colors also correspond on our poster. So, at the very bottom of the thermometer, this is going to be the coldest part. So if your liquid in your glass tube is somewhere in here, that's going to be a pretty cold temperature. So I also see that right here, there are some words that say water freezes. So water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And the color that corresponds with freezing water is blue. So I know that this blue, this purple, and this white area, these are all going to be really cold temperatures. So the first half of our thermometer goes all the way up to 50. And then you go to the second part. And the second part is going to be your warmer temperatures. So starting here at 50, where this one left off, if I go up here, I can see that my colors are getting warmer and warmer. Green, yellow, orange, red. It gives me some clues about the temperatures that are on here. At 70 degrees, that's about room temperature. So the room that you're sitting in right now is somewhere close to 70 degrees. Some of you might be sitting in a room that's 72 degrees or 68 degrees, but around 70 degrees, that's what your room feels like. And then if you keep going up, your body temperature is about 98 degrees. So that's where this is, in the orange zone. And then beyond that is the red zone. So that would be like a really, really super, super hot summer day. Or if you're cooking on a stove, you might see temperatures in that area or even higher. So a thermometer, the temperatures can keep going up and up, but a thermometer usually stops at a certain number. This one stops at 140 degrees. Another thing that you may have noticed are the numbers themselves. So all of these numbers are multiples of 10. So all of these numbers are ending with a 0, and they're counting by tens. You can look in between the numbers and you will see some really tiny lines and some medium-sized lines. The really itty-bitty tiny lines, they are counting by ones. The medium-sized lines, those are counting by twos. So if I were looking at this and I'm starting at 70 degrees, I can see that here would be 71. This would be 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, and 80. So if I count each little bitty line, that's counting by ones. If I count only the medium-sized lines, those are counting by twos. Watch. 70, 72, 74, 76, 78, and 80. So you can either count by tens, you can count by ones, or you can count by twos on a thermometer. Today we are going to be using this change diagram that we used the other day, and we're going to be using that to help us solve some number stories about temperature changes. So let's go ahead and take a look at an example of that right now. So if I said it was 50 degrees, this little circle means degrees, and then a capital F means Fahrenheit. If I said it was 50 degrees Fahrenheit at 9 o'clock a.m. So I'm just going to write 9 a.m. And it was 70 degrees Fahrenheit at noon, which would be 12 o'clock. Did it get warmer or did it get cooler, and by how much? So if I started at 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the morning, and then by lunchtime it was 70 degrees, what type of change happened? Did it get warmer? Did it get cooler? You're right, it got warmer because I know that 70 degrees Fahrenheit is warmer than 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So what type of change happened? The temperature went up. So if the temperature goes up, we're going to use a plus sign. So it changed to more. Now all we have to do is find out by how much. I know that if I use an open number line and I start at 50 and I'm trying to get to 70, I'm going to be making a couple of hops. And every time I hop, that's going to be 10. So 50, 60, 70. So I hopped twice. So it took me 20, adding 20 to get to 70. So I started with 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature went up 20 degrees. And by lunchtime, it was 70 degrees.